Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Ben from the Slash Brothers. Thank you so much for clicking on the video today. This is the very first episode of the Slash Brothers podcast. I'm very excited about this project. Now, with that being said, this is my very first podcast that I am producing or the head of, whatever you want to call it. It's very much a work in progress. So in this very first episode, the audio is a bit off because I did just screen record my conversation with Moira over Discord. So hopefully in the next episode, I'll learn to actually do a proper podcast. But I didn't want to let this one go to waste because I love the conversation Moira and I had. It was awesome. I'm still learning how to host a podcast. I sometimes get lost in what I'm saying, or I don't really know what to say next, even with my notes. So that's just going to be something that comes with more episodes of this coming out. And hopefully you're here for that journey of me getting better at this, if I get better at this. But yeah, this is, treat this as the pilot episode. This is very much not going to be the final product, how it's going to look in the future, but you got to start somewhere. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Take it easy, guys. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Slash Brothers, and in today, a very special episode of Slash Brothers. We are starting off the Slash Brothers podcast, so I'd like to welcome you guys all here today. Today we're going to be talking about Halloween the game. Halloween the game is a very anticipated game for me. And I can't do this alone, so I invited my good friend Moira today. Moira, why don't you introduce yourself, talk with the people here today.
What's going on, Slasherverse? Moira here. I'm the host of Book of Showtime, and I've known Ben for 10 years now. He's one of my oldest friends, and he's like my horror specialist. He's my horror guy, so, I would love to be here, and thank you for having me on here to do this podcast.
No, it's awesome. I would definitely... As soon as the game was revealed, I was like, I need to talk about this game, and there was no one else in my friend group that has more knowledge about the asymmetrical horror games like you do, because you play Dead by Daylight. I don't know if you still do, but we play Friday the 13th together, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So, let's just get into it. So, to start off, we're just going to talk about what we know so far, and as of late 2025. So as this video goes up, anything past that, we didn't know. All right, cool. So key revealed feature so far for the game is titled Halloween, very original. Developed by Ilphonic in collaboration with Gun Media / Gun Interactive. We'll talk about them. Platforms confirmed for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Release date September 8th, 2026. So about under a year's away. So some good development time. It is said to allow players to witness key narrative events of the night he came home through the eyes of Michael Myers. Multiplayer mode being pitched as a stealth horror 1 versus many 1v4 format. One player is Michael. The others are civilians, or heroes of Haddonfield is what they're called, trying to survive. As Myers, the revealed special powers so far are shape jump. It's like an invisibility, teleportability, making him appear in the shadows to surprise players. Michael Myers is being positioned effectively as unkillable. So he cannot be defeated in the same ways we saw in Friday the 13th with Jason, how you can take off the hockey mask and kill him that way. So Michael cannot be defeated. Civilian survivors or heroes have to perform tasks like alerting neighbors, contacting police, raising alarms, and even escorting NPCs. Map, it's clearly set in Haddonfield on Halloween night 1978. And the tone and atmosphere is revealed to be very much like the original movie, which I love. So it's going to capture the tension and terror that we get from John Carpenter's 1978 classic film. And the dev said single player mode helps teach players how to play as Michael Myers in the multiplayer. So it works as a tutorial and an experimental bridge for the players. When offline, players who dislike online can also play against online bots. So it's not strictly online. You can also play the multiplayer version of the game against bots. So that's pretty cool. And then the final thing that we know is John Carpenter, the director of the original film, in case you've been living under a rock, is attached as executive producer, which signals a very good thing for this game. I know John Carpenter is a big gamer. He likes to get high, play Metal Gear Solid, so I'm sure
That's not a game you want to play high. Not a game you want to play high.
So I'm sure the source material will be respected very well. So that's all we know so far. So from what we have heard, Moira, what do you think so far about the game?
The thing with Halloween is that when you look at the lineage of asymmetrical horror games that have come before it, they have a lot of games that have failed before them. So it's like they can look at those games and say, okay, what did all these games do wrong? What did last year do wrong? What did Texas Chainsaw Massacre do wrong? Video Horror Society, all these games. And I think it just, when I look at the games that they did before Ilphonic, they did obviously F-13, and what F-13 did better than Dead by Daylight, it had a lot more depth to how you play the game. When you're playing a game like Dead by Daylight, and I have too many hours on Dead by Daylight, close to 2,000, most of the games eventually after a while will play out the same, but I feel like when I play a game like Friday the 13th, it feels like every game can play differently because everyone's playing a different character, they're not all using the same perks. Every Jason can play differently, and there's just a lot more. There's a lot more to do. It's not just do generator. It's fix the car, call the police. So there's a lot more things to do. Fix the boat, and it makes the game more fun to have depth like that. And that's, I think, something that Halloween has going for it. It's going to have a lot of depth to it, and it's going to make it stand out way more than Dead by Daylight does.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's a great way to start this. Yeah, I very, very much agree with what you said, especially since I'm a big Friday the 13th fanboy. I love that game. I love the way that it plays, from collecting, parts for the car, for the phone. It made every game feel different, and they have been saying that Halloween the game, they're saying a horror sandbox, which is interesting, because a game like an asymmetrical horror game, you don't really get a sandbox type, So I'm interested to see what that's going to be like, if, how big the map is going to be. So, yeah, no, you nailed it right on the head there. So let's discuss, what would you like to see, hopes and expectations for this game? What would you like to see gameplay-wise, cosmetics, anything like that?
Well, cosmetics, obviously, you have to go with eventually bringing in some of the iconic characters from the Halloween series. There's been plenty of them. Maybe we can see if we can get Paul Rudd, license his character from, what was that, Part 6? Yeah. Let's see if we can get him back in here. That'd be pretty cool. Obviously, Laurie Strode has to make an appearance at some point. Maybe she could be Tommy Jarvis if they ever start to do, timeline pieces, DLC. You got the, all that Jamie Lloyd stuff.
I did see that Dr. Loomis is confirmed for both the single player and the multiplayer. So Dr. Loomis could be the Tommy Jarvis of the game. We have yet to see any Laurie Strode, which is weird for 78 Halloween, because she's a key part of that. Maybe it's a Jamie Lee Curtis thing. Maybe she's too expensive after winning an Oscar. I don't know. Or they're just waiting to reveal her in this month, in October, for something big, because this is the only October until the game comes out. Sorry to interrupt you there, but keep going.
No, you're good.
Keep going with what you were saying.
But yeah, like I said, when I said period pieces, definitely, when you watch Halloween back in the day and how that movie was perceived and how the characters dealt with someone like Michael Myers, there's no cell phones, so when people are dying, it's a lot of confusion. But if you had a timeline type DLC where you fast forward to 2018, now there's cell phones and all types of information and all types of people. It can make the game different because now the killer's in a different environment. Yeah. So if you're the killer, it feels different for you because now it's a little harder to be out there just stalking teenagers. Everybody, there's a camera on every corner.
So they did say that the start of the game is just stuck with 1978, and if the game is successful, they can carry on with like the sequels and stuff. So it's a good point that you brought up, like 2018 or like later timelines, like perhaps like maybe cell phones could be introduced into the game. I don't know, but yeah. What else? So, is there you've already said like Jamie Lloyd? Is there any like specific like cosmetics or like a specific Michael Myers skin you want to see? Because we know Ilphonic loves their cosmetics. We've seen Friday the 13th. They got their swimsuits and their like Halloween stuff. What do you think?
You know, this might come out of left field, but it would be really interesting to see. And as much as I don't like the movies, but to see if anything the Rob Zombie Asylum Myers would be pretty interesting to have in the game.
I like the Rob Zombie stuff. I never thought about that. I thought about the the original like few timelines, but not the remake. But seeing like the Tyler Mane Michael Myers skin, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of those movies, but the more Michael Myers skins we get,
they did a few things right.
And so when it comes to Survivor characters and stuff, how exactly do you want like these hero characters to like? Do you want them to have their different stats and stuff, like kind of how Friday the 13th did? That some characters specified in certain things like repair and stuff. Or how do you want the characters to be?
I would like the characters to play in a vein similar to Friday the 13th, but you know, Ilphonic, they also did the Predator Haunting Ground game, which was a pretty good game. I don't think a lot of people played it. I think it might have just been lost amongst like the pandemic lineup because there were everyone was playing Among Us for some reason. But I feel like, you know, kind of having a class based character, but nothing too married. Because if you're the killer, or if you're Myers, I'm saying the killer, it's only gonna be one. But unless they could go to 2018 and bring back that other dude, I can't remember his name.
Corey.
Doing the Michael Myers. But if they kind of make it so every character has their own stats, but you can still kind of work within the boundaries of their stats, so it's not like you're facing the exact same person every time. Because if I see, you know, John Halloween coming around the corner, I'm like, well, I know what John Halloween perks are.
Yeah.
If I see Dexter Loomis, I know what he's gonna have. So Dexter Loomis.
Dexter. Oh, WWE.
Yeah, I'm thinking wrestling. I don't know. Look, hey, it's Friday. It's Friday. SmackDown's on tonight. You know, they might be around.
Dexter Loomis.
But Dr. Loomis. But if I see Dr. Loomis come around the corner, I was like, okay, I already know what he has, and that kind of takes away the dynamic element that Dead by Daylight kind of has working for it, because you don't really know what the survivors, what perks they have. They can do everything. So you have an idea of what they might have, but you don't really know till you see it. So I would like to see, yes, those characters operate kind of like F-13, where they all have their own stats, but then let's be able to like customize them, build them up a little bit like in the way that we want to.
Like a perk system, right?
Like a perk system.
Friday the 13th did have a perk system. It wasn't too in depth from what I remember, but I'm sure with Halloween they're gonna because I know Texas Chainsaw, the perks were kind of overpowered. I didn't play enough of that game to really know. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't play that much because they sunsetted it. We'll talk about Gun at some point and potential worries we may have with the game. Which actually kind of leads me to my next topic, if that's all you have to say about any hopes and expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, any lessons from other asymmetrical horror/slasher games? So, some stuff that they succeeded in and failures. What can this game learn from other games?
That's an interesting question. I know I said in the open that they have a lineage of games to like learn from, to like just what not to do. And Ilphonic, I don't really feel like, when you look at F-13, I feel like F-13 didn't fail. It was failed, obviously, all the licensing issues being tangled up. Because the game was definitely a lot more mileage and potential you can get out of Friday the 13th. I feel like going forward, they could have definitely done Jason X, Jason Takes Manhattan. There's so much more that they could have done. So I feel like with a game like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there was very clearly a ceiling for the content, but I feel like with Halloween, there's a lot more that you can do. Maybe not as much as Friday the 13th, but there's still a lot there. So I feel like just if they'll find just do what they did with F13, respect the source material. You know, they're obviously big fans of F13. That's why it was such a fun game, and just that's the thing they should do. Make it fun. Don't worry about monetizing everything too much. You know, don't fall into the greed trap, but just focus on making the game fun. Try not to make it too much of a trend. Because, like you said, we played Friday the 13th. I mean, you probably played a little bit more than me, but I played a handful of times, and then that was it. It was uninstalled. And it came to Game Pass, too. And it just was like, it just wasn't it.
Oh, Texas, right. Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can take from those other games for Halloween. Like you said, Friday the 13th, it was failed because of the whole lawsuit thing. And they clearly had other plans. Like, Jason X was in the game. They had the virtual cabin. I don't know if you ever, like, messed with that. It was, like, this whole, like, side mode where you just kind of explored this cabin and, like, solved puzzles and stuff. It was pretty cool. And at the end, there was like a big tease for Uber Jason. It was like, oh yeah, the Grendel map's coming, Jason X. And so I guess that can kind of lead us into, do you think the game will succeed?
I think it's easier for a game to be successful, but I just think that the main thing they need to do, another thing they need to do to not fail, is make it for the Halloween fans first. Don't try to make it for the people who are not Halloween fans, because if all the Halloween fans, that's going to be your core base. And if the most passionate Halloween, everyone knows a Halloween fan that's like really excited about the game, they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot too. But the Halloween fans are going to be the most critical. So if the Halloween fans are saying, then the casual people are going to go, well, I'm not going to spend money on this. So definitely you got to have your core audience in your mind at all times when you're making a game like this that can potentially be niche.
Yeah, so with an IP like Halloween, probably one of the biggest slasher franchises, probably next to Friday the 13th. I honestly think it could potentially do better than Friday the 13th in terms of profit, because like those are two the juggernauts, right? But everyone knows Michael Myers, and like you said, if the game is fun, it will bring in players. Obviously, as soon as the game comes out, the fans of Halloween are going to be there. Like myself, I'm getting that day one, day zero even. But to hook the people that aren't fans, it needs to be fun. It needs to be a fun game. I think Ilphonic can deliver that. They've shown in the past they know how to make fun games. But that's, yeah. I think it will succeed. I would like to think it will succeed. I could be. But I think they're taking a lot of what happened in the past, like with Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw, to heart. Obviously, Ilphonic is the developers of Halloween, and Gunn were the developers of Texas Chainsaw. So it wasn't like I don't think this game's going to get sunsetted, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's going to end early. I think Ilphonic is really good in keeping their games alive, even if the player base isn't huge. Because Predator Hunting Ground still gets content to this day, which kind of blows my mind. They got stuff for the Killer of Killers movie. They got stuff for Prey, and I'm sure they're going to get stuff for Badlands as well. So, is there any talking points that I haven't brought up that you would like to talk about in terms of the game?
Not so much. You did mention sunsetting, and yeah, I think that having some type of like peer-to-peer servers, that would be important just in case. I don't think the game is gonna get sunsetted because the Halloween license isn't as like tied up like F13 was. But hopefully there's just countermeasures in place just in case that they have to say, hey, listen, we're not really getting the profit that we need. We got to put this game on ice, which would be heartbreaking because I feel like too many games these days they come out and they don't even last a year anymore. But I don't think it's going to be a Concord situation or an X Defiant situation. I think a lot of people are going to be playing Halloween. I would like to see the game maybe launch on Game Pass if everyone doesn't cancel it after the price hike that they put out. But I think that would be huge to get a lot of people talking about the game early. Kind of like a commercial, even if it's just for a year. But like you, I'm going to be there day one because I know you're going to be playing it, and I think it's going to be a real fun game, something different than Dead by Daylight. Because I like the asymmetrical horror games, but it's just they all go away.
Yeah, that's true. The only one that stays really is Dead by Daylight. I couldn't really get into that. The gameplay loop wasn't for me. I can see why it's so successful though, with like their constant like adding new killers and stuff. I'm sure that mixes up the gameplay enough. I don't know. I don't play. That's more of a you type of answer, really.
Hey, the thing with Dead by Daylight is that I just feel like it's one of those games where when you look at how a game goes over time, are the players making it unfun to play or are the developers making it unfun to play? And Dead by Daylight, it's both. The developers, they take way too long to implement certain things. And I think Ilphonic, they're definitely they'll keep their ears to the ground with their community. And they're going to listen to the community a lot more and be quicker to implement things more than behavior would. As opposed to the players, I never really had any truly toxic encounters in F13. Unless you want to count that time Ace was losing his mind when we were playing. That's as close as it gets. But otherwise, I mean, it's a good group of people. Everyone they're there to have some fun. Yeah. So I think that's going to translate to Halloween.
Yeah. The worst thing that to encounter in F13 was slasher Jasons, the ones who just slashed you to kill you. They didn't do grabs, and that barely even happened. Most people grabbed, and so. I forgot to write this in my notes, but do you think crossplay is something this game should have?
I would be surprised if it didn't have crossplay. I think we're at the point in gaming, like with the industry, that if a game doesn't have crossplay, it's a major issue. But being that Texas Chainsaw had crossplay and now Dead by Daylight has crossplay, I mean, it's a safe bet to assume that Halloween is going to have crossplay, and that's amazing. If it doesn't, if the game for some reason, even if it launches with crossplay a little later, that's a huge issue. If it does not launch with crossplay, I would be very disappointed.
Yeah. There's still so much stuff I want to talk about that I didn't write down. So, if I don't want to keep you too long in case you've got some stuff to do.
No. I'm having fun.
In terms of gameplay. You've seen the trailer, right? You watched the gameplay?
Yeah, I watched the State of Play. State of Play trailer, right?
So, Michael has this ability called Shape Jump. It kind of works as Jason's shift from F13, but he can only activate it when he's out of sight and in the shadows. And then I'm pretty sure he appears out of sight too. It's a physical representation. Are you one of those people that are annoyed that they're implementing something like this for Michael Myers? Like,
not at all. I mean, it's a gameplay mechanic, and I can't remember anybody being upset about Jason having that ability. But when you're playing a game, you're gonna have some video game mechanics with the character. I think, and it looks really cool. It looks very fitting for the character. And obviously, when you watch the movies, the main thing, you look away, the killer's not there, then you look back, the killer is. But you have to have some way to put that into the game.
Exactly. It's a gameplay mechanic. They're not telling you that's what Michael is actually doing in those movies. It's not going to ruin the movie for you unless you let it, but it shouldn't. And it's still super early. There's probably plenty more like mechanics for Michael Myers. Like, does he spawn with the knife? Can you use other weapons? Are there environmental kills like F13? Are there like other new mechanics we haven't seen before? Because I'm sure it's gonna include some new stuff we haven't seen in past games. It's not going to be like a copy and paste. I know people are saying like, oh, it's just F13 and that's it. I mean, I'm fine with that, but I'm sure there'll be more to
Yeah,
it.
I say no. You and I are both fine with that.
um, is there anything specifically in the gameplay you want? Like, I know we kind of talked about expectations, like hopes and what you want, but like in terms of the gameplay, how do you want Michael to feel? How do you want the survivors to feel? Do you want to be strictly third person?
I'm fine with it. The camera being either or, first or third person. It depends on how the the developers choose to implement it. But I definitely want Michael to feel very strong and intimidating to play against. Because that's the purpose of an asymmetrical game. The one should always be very strong, you know. People would complain in Dead by Daylight that certain killers are too strong. Like, well, the killer has to feel strong
Mm-hmm.
and overwhelming because they're the killer. They have to be strong. So I think they should definitely not make it so that he's too beatable. You have to work together to beat him. You have to be very smart. You have to be very cautious. You got to keep your wits about you. He has to be a very intimidating. Has to be a raid boss.
Yeah.
Michael has to be strong.
Yeah. I saw a little like Reddit post. The developers said that it won't end well for you if you bully Michael. In F13, you can bully Jason and really beat his ass. I did that a lot in that game. I'm sure players will eventually find ways to bully Michael. Like it's a video game, people are gonna learn. And but if there's some sort of way to like help it, like if Michael's on the ground, maybe he can grab someone or kill someone from a prone state. Just so Michael doesn't get teabagged over and over and get danced on.
That's one thing I would for immersion purposes. I'm not sure how I feel about emotes coming back. If I would prefer no emotes personally.
Like,
I can go either way, but I prefer no emotes.
is it the California girls like TikTok that popped off? The Jason one?
The dude dancing in his underwear.
So another thing I saw from the trailer that I also want to talk about with Michael Myers, there is also a POV as him. If you like zoom in on an NPC, which that is also a thing I could talk about. You like stalk them. I don't. Maybe the more you stalk someone, you build up and get like a more points, or it just more beneficial for the Michael player to really milk the kill is what I like to put it as. What do you think for like the POV mechanic? Do you think there's some sort of stalking thing that Myers has? I don't know.
I would like that. I think it's interesting to have a type of killer, you know, that you kind of when you're getting to a match, you build yourself up over time. So it's like a little bit of a risk reward system. It's like, well, I can keep pressure on like the babysitters or the survivors if I want to, or I could just go around build it up. I risk them getting ahead, getting some extra items, getting some progress, but when I go to pursue them, it's going to be a cakewalk. So I think something like that would be really fun, and can reward the higher skill players. But if you're like a lower skill player, it's there if you can do it, but it's not. It shouldn't be an end all be all.
Yeah. All right. There's two more things that I want to talk about before we wrap up. So first, I really love the inclusion of NPCs on in the multiplayer. So it seems like a big component of the game, as a hero of Haddonfield, you're aware of Michael Myers, but the NPCs are not. So your goal is to equip them and warn them about Michael Myers. I don't know if that's been done in any asymmetrical horror game. Maybe Killer Clowns, I think. But what do you think? What do you think of them adding NPCs? Do you think that makes this a bit more fresh in terms of gameplay?
I definitely do. I think having that kind of having more elements that you can't really control, because you can't communicate. You can communicate with your friends and say, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that." But the bots are just gonna do what
Yeah.
what they get programmed to do, and it's just having that random element that's kind of out of your control. I think makes the game a lot more dynamic. And like I mentioned earlier about Dead by Daylight, every game feeling the same. Having more things like that make the game feel a little more deep and alive, and it makes it more random. It's like, okay, these people just got in their car and left, and the NPCs choose to do that, which would be awesome, you know. So just things like that just help the game feel a little bit more alive.
Yeah, I love that inclusion of the NPCs, because clearly it also means there's more to it than just getting parts and escaping. Because you can obviously escape, that's clearly one of the objectives, but you can also save people of Haddonfield. Like, some games I definitely want to just work my ass off and save everyone that I can. Just feel like a total hero, you know? Save everyone, get everyone to safety.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. It's more than just thinking of yourself and getting out of there. It's like, oh, there's these other characters I gotta save. Hopefully they have backstories and stuff and we kind of care about them, but yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I think the NPCs also they open up a path to kind of slip in like some of the older characters that were in the movies as kind of cameos.
Yeah.
You know, because it wouldn't cost too much. I imagine you just model them a little, be like, hey, this is so and so from part 3.
Yeah. I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of cosmetics that are references in themselves. Like I mentioned in my video for the breakdown of the Halloween game, like the initial trailer, that there is one of the survivors. I was like, she's clearly gonna have like Laurie Strode inspired cosmetics. Like I feel like that spreads across all these other characters, like and across the movies. So the final thing I want to talk about is the single player. I think having a story mode is brilliant, especially for the casuals that play these games. These games fall into the same category as just being these multiplayer online games. A lot of people don't like playing online. It's just fact. People just want to play their games by themselves. And the fact that they offer this single player campaign that's a continuation, or like, I'm not really too sure what it is yet, but you're playing through the events of 78 as Michael Myers, so that is really cool. I'm excited to see more of that. And they also have the online bot, so you can just play against the CPU. You don't have to worry about these toxic players like me and you who are just gonna bother people.
Don't let me don't let me in with that.
What do you think? What do you think of the single player?
I think it's great to have that they have tools like this to help you kind of learn how to play the killer, because while I'm a very baptism by fire person when it comes to playing any game and learning any game, I feel like there's a lot of people who are not like that. They got to take their time. So having a campaign to kind of like guide you through okay, just to get a basic feel, even if you don't really master the character coming out of the campaign, but just to kind of get the fundamentals and the feel, then you jump online, you're not totally lost, you know. Whenever I usually get like, you know, fighting games like Mortal Kombat, you know, I would always play through the story, because even though I'm not going to play all those characters, I'm still learning kind of the fundamentals of the game. So having something like that, it helps with the onboarding, because you're not always going to have friends around to, you know, queue up and go on. Maybe I'll jump over to Myers and play him, but then you go online, you get dog walks. So having the bots, having the campaign, having those tools there, it will help with the longevity of the game and people getting into it.
Yeah, perfectly said. I love the inclusion in the single player, as we both said. I'm excited for this game. I'm the Halloween fanboy. Michael Myers up there, so I can't wait to play this game. I'm definitely gonna be recording it, maybe streaming it. It's gonna be my new F-13. Even if it's bad, I think I'm just gonna play it, even if it's bad. But from what we've seen so far and what we've been talking about, I think it's gonna be a good game.
I think it looks great. I think it's one of those games that's going to be really fun. The one more thing I want to say, I do hope that the game has an open beta.
Yeah,
I emphasize open because I feel like just getting the stress testing the servers as much as you can is a huge thing. today. So if we can get an open beta, everybody can try it out. I know a lot of developers are a little sketchy about doing any type of demo or betas because some people might get their hands on the game and say, well, maybe I might not buy this. But for people like you and I, we're definitely gonna be buying it just to get our hands on and make sure everything's gonna be running smooth. Then we can go spread the word. But yeah, but an open beta, that's a must, I think.
Yeah, I believe Ilphonic is doing some sort of like special open beta thing for Predator Hunting Grounds for something. I know the game's already out, but I think they're doing like a test server or something from what I've heard. And maybe it's a test server for the test servers. Maybe it's like, oh, let's test this out and see if we can do it for Halloween. But I agree. I didn't even write that down or think about that. A test, like a beta test or open, whatever you want to call it for the game, like would be great, especially for some player feedback and stuff like that. Because they can't see everything through internal testing, right? They need some outside people. Yeah, that's
the easiest way to test out any game. Just throw it out into the wild. Let people do it for you.
That's basically all I had planned to talk about for the game. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add? Maybe any talk?
I got one thing. I got one thing.
What's up?
You brought your Art the Terrifier, your Art the Clown shirt to the Michael Myers podcast.
Sorry.
What's going on there? You don't got no Michael Myers gear ready?
I have a Michael Myers hoodie, but it's in my laundry basket right now. Yeah, no, it's my laundry basket right now, so I'm just wearing the Terrifier.
It's been bothering me for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry, guys. All right.
You got the mask in the background, though. So you got the mask in the background, which is really cool.
Next time if we talk about Halloween again, I'll wear the proper attire. I didn't read the dress code. Sorry. But yeah, that's basically it. So I want to thank you, Moira, for joining me on this. It's been a lot of fun talking about the game. I'd like to have you back in the future. Maybe we can talk about some other stuff. And so just say goodbye to the people. Let them know where they can find you, what you're up to, and yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I always like to talk about anything horror if I can, especially horror games. That's my thing. Like I said in the opening, I run a little channel called Book of Showtime. We're currently putting out a bunch of October-themed content, so
I'll put it up there somewhere.
Make sure to go and check it out. Yeah, I've been away for a bit working on it, but I'm really excited and doing some things that are a little different. So yeah, if you guys can check that out, it'll make me very happy.
Yeah. Please check out Moira's channel. She does great stuff. I love all your content, even if it's talking about basketball and stuff I have no idea about. Just, yeah, you're a great person. I loved having you on, and it's been fun. So, thank you so much. And for anyone who was listening to us ramble, hopefully it was tangible. I can't even speak. Hopefully you understood what we were saying. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was the first episode of Slash Brothers Podcast. Hopefully I'll do more in the future with Moira and other guests as well. This was a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you next time on the Slash Brothers.